So here are the answers to the questions on indices. The first question was to simplify 3 squared times 3 to the power of 8. Now remember, when you're multiplying two powers of the same thing, the rule is to add the powers. So 3 squared times 3 to the 8 is the same as 3 to the power of 2 plus 8. And that's 3 to the power of 10. Question 2. Simplify 12 to the power of 20 divided by 12 to the power of 4. Now, when you're dividing two powers of the same thing, the rule is to subtract the powers. So that's the same as 12 to the power of 20 minus 4, or 12 to the power of 16. Question 3 was to simplify 5 to the power of 3, all to the power of 4. Now, when we have one power raised to another power, the rule is to multiply the powers. So that's the same as 5 to the power of 3 times 4, or 5 to the power of 12. Question 4. 16 to the power of 0.5. Now 0.5 is the same as a half. And remember that power of a half means square root. So 16 to the power of 0.5 is the same as square root of 16. And that's 4. Question 5. Simplify 64 to the power of a third. Well, remember that power of a third means cube root, so that's the same as cube root of 64. And 4 times 4 times 4 makes 64, so the cube root of 64 is 4. Question 6. Simplify 5 to the power of minus 2. Well, remember, a negative power means the same as 1 over the positive power. So 5 to the power of minus 2 is the same as 1 over 5 to the power of 2, 1 over 5 squared. 5 squared is 25, because 5 times 5 is 25. So 1 over 5 squared is the same as 1 over 25. Which, if you wish, you can simplify further to a decimal 0.04. Question 7. 64 to the power of minus 0.5. Well, once again, remember that a minus power means 1 over the positive power. So that's the same as 1 over 64 to the 0.5. And remember that power of 0.5 is the same as power of a half, which means square root. So that's the same as 1 over the square root of 64, which is 1 over 8, because 8 times 8 makes 64. And if you wish, you can make that into a decimal, 0.125. Question 8. 81 to the power of 3 over 2. Now we need to remember the rule that says when you've got one power raised to another power, it's the same as multiplying the powers. But we're going to apply that in reverse now. We're going to break 3 over 2 up into a half times 3. So 3 over 2 is the same as a half times 3. Therefore, 81 to the power of 3 over 2 is the same as 81 to the power of a half, all to the power of 3. Well, that's useful because power of a half is the same as square root. So what we've got is the same as square root of 81 to the power of 3, which is 9 to the power of 3, or if you prefer, 729. Question 9. 81 to the power of minus 3 over 2. Well, remember that the minus power means the same as 1 over the positive power. So that's the same as 1 over 81 to the power of 3 over 2. And again, remember that rule about one power raised to another power is the same as multiplying the powers. So we're going to use that to split up 3 over 2 into a half times 3. So 1 over 81 to the power of 3 over 2 is the same as 1 over 81 to the half to the power of 3. Again, that's useful because power of a half means square root. So we can write square root of 81 instead of 81 to the power of a half. And square root of 81 is 9, so we can just write 9 instead of that. So we've got 1 over 9 to the power of 3, which is the same as 1 over 729. Last question. 49 to the power of minus 2.5. Well, minus 2.5 is the same as minus 5 over 2. And now we've got that as a fraction, we can do a similar thing with it as we did in the last two questions. So, first of all, remember that minus powers mean 1 over the positive powers. So that's the same as 1 over 49 to the 5 over 2. And using that rule again, we can break 5 over 2 up into a half times 5. So we can write that as 1 over 49 to the half to the power of 5. Again, that's useful because power of a half means square root. So instead of 49 to the power of a half, we can write square root of 49. And the square root of 49 is 7. So all of that comes to 1 over 7 to the power of 5. Or if you prefer, 1 over 16,807.